This is Rodney from the Masculine Journey podcast, where we explored manhood within Jesus Christ. Your chosen Truth Network podcast is starting in just a few seconds. Sit back, enjoy it, share it, but most of all, thank you for listening and choosing the Truth Podcast Network.
This is the Truth Network. Welcome to Truth Talk Live.
All right, let's talk.
The truth is, I can't hide it, I can't hold it no more.
A daily program powered by the Truth Network.
This is kind of a great thing, and I'll tell you why.
Where pop culture, current events, and theology all come together.
Speak
Your mind.
And now, here's today's Truth Talk Live host.
Welcome back to Truth Talk Live. Your host, once the Russian nightmare, as Stu Epperson would say, now the devil's worst nightmare. Yours truly, Nikita Koloff, host of the Man Up Show on Truth Network, host of Q&A with Koloff. And speaking of the Truth Network, have you downloaded the Truth app yet? Come on now. Go over to your app store right now, well, unless you're driving. Go over to your app store and download the Truth app. I'm going to tell you what, you're going to get lots of live radio, just like you're listening to today through your app, probably a dozen or more podcasts, incredible resource for you. You're going to probably thank me later and say, that's the best app I ever downloaded or have on my phone. So just throw that out there. So anyway, to be angry or not to be angry, that is the question. Now, you probably didn't think you'd ever hear Shakespeare quoted on Truth Radio and taking a page out of Hamlet's play. To be or not to be, that is the question, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles. Speaking of troubles, have you ever taken the time? Anger is our topic of discussion if you haven't yet figured it out. We're going to chat about anger today. Have you ever sat and calculated the cost of anger? I would venture to say, if I purvey the current climate and culture that surrounds us, I think it's safe to say there's a lot of angry people out there. And I think we see that displayed really on a daily basis. I have, over the years, had my opportunities to deal with my own anger, as well as the anger of others, and curious today to find out maybe how you deal with anger, whether it be your own or perhaps the anger of another. Well, if you're familiar with me hosting this show anytime in the past, you also know I love Bible trivia, and I love giving away personally autographed 8x10 photos. So far, we've had at least one winner on any of the shows that I've hosted, and I'd love to give some more 8x10 autograph photos away today as well. We're gonna throw this first trivia question out there before we dive into our discussion on anger. Here it is. The remnant left in The remnant left in Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar. Now, if you're familiar with the story, you know that Nebuchadnezzar captured Jerusalem and took a good majority of the people back to Babylon. But there was a remnant that was left in Jerusalem, and the Bible question for today is, the remnant that was left in Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar desired to go where? Now, Babylon is one of the choices, but some of them chose not to go. So where did they go? Where did they choose to go? Here's your options: Lebanon, Egypt, Syria. Now I'm going to give you, it's a little tougher question, so I'm going to give you a hint for those of you. Jeremiah chapter 43. If you go research Jeremiah chapter 43, you may find out the answer to this question. I'd love to give away an autographed 8x10 photo. The remnant left in Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar desired to go where? Syria, Egypt, Lebanon, or Babylon? You know what's amazing? Even as I look at this list, 3 out of the 4, they exist, like today. Syria, Egypt, Lebanon. Pretty amazing. 866-348-7884. That's 866-34-TRUTH. If you have an answer to my trivia question, love to give an 8x10 out to you and for yourself, or maybe a loved one or someone you know who's a wrestling fan. Give us a call. Anger. There's, Proverbs, the book of Proverbs is loaded with all kinds of wisdom. It's said it's one of the best books on wisdom ever written by one of the wisest men ever to live, as well as some other contributors to it as well. And Proverbs 29:22, an angry person causes trouble. A person with a quick temper sins a lot. Something to ponder right there. People with understanding control their anger. A hot temper shows great foolishness. That's in Proverbs chapter 14, verse 29. I may share some other Proverbs along the way regarding anger, but that's what I want to hear from you. How do you handle anger, whether it be your own or somebody you know? Call 866-348-7884, 866-34-TRUTH. And or if you have the answer to my trivia question, my Bible trivia question, give us a call. When someone is angry with you, it's easy to show anger in return, right? I mean, if we don't exercise self-control, we can be just sucked right into that whole argument or that whole discussion. Yeah, I'm reminded one more just popped in my head before we go to break here. A gentle answer shall turn away wrath. A gentle answer shall turn away wrath. Boy, have I exercised that one over the years. I'll talk more about that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. We are on Truth Talk Live. Your host, Nikita Koloff, the devil's worst nightmare. Hey, I want you to stay tuned.
Truth Talk Live.
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.
Welcome back. Truth Talk Live. Your host, Nikita Koloff. And looks like we might have an answer to my trivia question here. And my favorite caller, Buxman up in Dayton, Ohio. Buxman, are you there?
Oh, hey, Nikita. I'm going to take a stab at it, brother. And I love you, brother. I love how the questions that you ask are not the real easy Sunday school questions, Nikita. I'm very impressed, brother. You actually got me scratching my brain. And I even told St. Nick, I said I could cheat, Nick, and dial in Bible Gateway and have Max McLean read me Jeremiah 43, and it would be an open book test. But, Nikita, I'm going to go for it, brother. I'm going to go all the way. So I do not know for sure what the answer is, but I'm going to throw out, and I've been thinking of this in the busmobile. I know it. The majority went to Babylon. I know that they fought the Assyrians at one point. So I'm going to say Syria on your question. Then I also have an anger story for you, too, if you want it, Nikita.
That is a good guess. Buxman. Not the right answer, but it is a good guess. So now you've narrowed it. Now you've narrowed it down for the next caller between Syria or.
You're welcome, Truth Talk Live.
You've narrowed it down now between Lebanon and Egypt. So we've scratched Syria, we scratched Babylon, but that's okay. Hey, you took a good stab at it. All right, give me a quick story on how you deal with anger. Come on, talk about it.
Well, what I do, Nikita, seriously, I ask myself, what's making you angry? And
good.
that has really helped me, Nikita, because like you said in your monologue, there's so much that can make, especially us here in America, that can make us angry. So I literally got to ask myself, Nikita, okay, what is it that you're angry about? And when I narrow it down to something that I can control, Nikita, I can let it go. I can say, you know what? I'll tell that person I'm sorry, and I'll do the Matthew 5 thing. Hey, I can't have an aunt against my brother and then go to church with a good conscience. So I'll call my brother back if that's the issue. If it's something that I cannot control, Nikita, I have to then work, I think it's First Peter, brother, and you know this being a Bible scholar, where I have to cast that care onto the Lord and know that he cares for me.
Yeah,
if
that's good.
I can't fix what's got me angry, Nikita, then I have to turn it over to our great and glorious Father.
Bring it to him. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. Great advice, Buxman. Great advice. Hey, thank you for being such a loyal listener to Truth Talk Live, man. I appreciate you, Buxman. I look forward to the day we meet face to face, okay?
I would love that. And I was hoping I was going to meet your face on an 8x10, but I missed it.
Well, you're going to get one. You're going to get one. You're going to get one. Hey,
I'll keep trying.
Hey, how far are you from St. Clairsville, Ohio? Just out of curiosity.
St. Clairsville. I got a dear friend, Nikita, who lives in St. Clairsville. Actually, they're up north. I'm about probably 80 miles, would be my guess, Nikita.
All right, because just make note to self, Saturday, August 3rd, Man Up Steak Dinner, St. Clairsville, Emmanuel Baptist Church, 5 p.m. Just note to self, Buxman, just in case you make the trip.
I may have to saddle up the Iron Horse and ride up there.
I'd love to meet you in person. Hey, you have a great day.
That would be awesome. You too, Nikita. God bless, my
All
friend.
right, bless you. Thanks so much. All right. Buxman took a stab at it. Well, it's a 50-50 shot at it now for the rest of you, Egypt or Lebanon, where the remnant left in Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar desired to go where? I love when he said open book test. Well, I did kind of give you that opportunity, though, didn't I? When I gave you the chapter and where to go research the answer. But I would love to give away an 8x10 autograph photo. You know, we're talking about anger today. I'm just looking at some of my different notes that I've made here regarding anger. And I'd love to hear what you think about anger. 866-348-7884, 866-34-TRUTH. How do you handle it? Like maybe either your own or somebody you know. How do you handle it? You know, I did mention before the last break, talked about, I quoted the proverb, a gentle answer will turn away wrath. And I really embraced that when I first read that and kind of understood that, man, if somebody starts blowing up at me and I just remain calm, now here's the challenge, remain calm. And if I answer at all, it's with a very calm answer, a gentle answer, without raising my voice. Now, of course, that's the challenge, right? And because there's a tendency for us to be sucked into the anger argument, you know, the argument or the anger or what's being spewed by the other person. But you know, when it comes to taking control of your anger, if you don't take control, there is a cost. Like I'm sure all of you have probably figured that out by now, but it doesn't hurt to reinforce. You know, the repetition's the first law of learning. I learned many years ago. You're going to get in trouble if you don't take control of your anger. There is a cost. There's a good chance it might lead you down that path of sinning. It'll cause arguments, like, when you blow up, it'll potentially make a mistake. There's the potential to make a mistake when you lose your temper. Ever lost your temper? Come on, who hasn't lost their temper? But how do you deal with it? How do you do? You take the chance then. If you're one who constantly or sometimes loses your temper, really, who loses? And what do you lose? Well, you might lose respect. You might lose somebody's respect. Like if you're a person who constantly gets angry all the time. Buxman brought up something interesting. It just kind of bubbled up in me as well. I think he said, he's talking about like if he gets why? Like there's probably a deeper root cause something deeper going on. Like especially if you consistently have anger issues or struggle with your anger, there's probably something deeper going on. We've dealt with this a lot at our camps in the past. Lex Luger and I do this camp called Man Camp. And we bring men in it's a 5-day catalyst, and we just dive deep into equipping men to be godly men and godly husbands and godly fathers and want to send them home with the tools to do that and to be that individual. And anger has come up at many camps, guys have gotten angry at camp. Guys have confessed they struggle with anger. And so what we want to do, what we try to do is get down to the root cause of that anger. What's the root cause of the anger? And hey, I'd love to hear you share a couple of your thoughts. 866-348-7888-TRUTH, or call in with the answer to the trivia question. Love to give away another 8x10 photo, personally autographed by yours truly, Nikita Koloff, formerly the Russian Nightmare. Don't go away. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. I'll come looking for you.
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.
Welcome back to Truth Talk Live. Your host, Nikita Koloff, and we're talking about anger, to the cost of anger, to be angry or not to be angry. That is the question. We also have an 8x10 autograph photo to send out, 866-348-7888-TRUTH. We know Nebuchadnezzar captures Jerusalem. He takes the majority of people back to Babylon. Thanks to Buxman, we have scratched Syria. We are down to either Lebanon or Egypt. What's your guess? Give me a call, 866-348-7888-4, 866-34-TRUTH. And we're talking about anger. We're talking losing your temper. We're talking about losing your temper and who ends up really being the biggest loser when you lose your temper. I mean, you can lose someone else's respect. You can ultimately lose the love of your family. It'll affect your health. Come on, if you're getting angry all the time, it can affect your health. In some extreme cases, maybe even lose your job. Right? Maybe you're someone who uses anger to motivate people to do and it can even be, well, I'm going to use it to, for them to do the right thing. Well, there may be a short-term payoff there, but I assure you in the long run, that anger will ultimately produce more anger and even apathy and even potentially alienation. I mean, how many kids have been alienated from a parent because of out of control anger? You know how many stories? You know how many men have come to camp and said, I just don't have. My dad was just always so angry. I just don't have a relationship with my dad. And I just had to alienate or separate myself, because I just didn't want to be in that toxic environment, right? Certainly, we know that anger has destroyed marriages over the years, right? Whether it be a husband or a wife, it's destroyed friendships when somebody lost their cool. Anger can destroy relationships faster, really, than just about anything else, I think. What are your thoughts? What do you do? I'd love to hear from you. What do you do, whether it's an anger issue of your own or someone else? How do you handle it? How do you handle it? Because there's a price to pay. There is a price to pay. And then some will return anger for anger. That's not the best path to go down, really. I have found from personal experience that's not the best path. But if you go down that path, you're likely, when you get angry, and let's face it, let's be honest, you know somebody's buttons, how to push them. If you live with anyone long enough, you know exactly what to do to push their buttons to get them upset or to get them angry. And that's not necessarily a good thing, is it? I don't know. 866-34-TRUTH. I'd love to get your perspective either on how you deal with your own anger or how you deal with the anger of others, or some thoughts on how, just in general, how to address anger. And here's some questions you could ask yourself, before you retaliate with anger is, do I really want to go down this path, right? Like maybe just pause, a 10-second pause, take a deep breath. Whew, right? Take a deep breath. Do I really want to go down this path? Is this, because I said earlier, anger can lead to making mistakes, saying things you later regret, right? And then that's a whole nother deal that now you got to come back and ask for forgiveness, and right? And I mean, that just opens up a whole nother can of worms, right? Can lead you, into even more sin. Obviously, cause arguments, act like a fool. Hey, how many times have you been out and about and seen someone blow up and just act like an absolute fool? Right? Well, there's a proverb for that. I quoted earlier. People with understanding control their anger. A hot temper shows great foolishness. Anger comes with a price tag. So what you may want to consider, or what you may want to do, is count or calculate the cost and then choose the wise path of controlling your anger. If you're one that says, my anger is just out of control, I don't know what to do, Nikita. I don't know how to control it. I was joking earlier with my producer Nick, or mentioning earlier, a lot of people. If you're familiar with court has something called anger, sends people off to what they call anger management classes. And I've always honestly kind of chuckled at that, because in my mind I'm like, I don't want to learn to manage my anger. I'd love to be set free of anger, if that's something that I struggle with or deal with. And that goes back to what I said earlier about root causes. Root causes. What's causing? I think Buxman again brought it up. What's causing this reaction? What's the root cause of this emotion? Now, if it's infrequent, that's one thing. But if it's like all the time or pretty consistent, man, you may want to dig a little deeper into that and just be honest, with yourself and be willing to dive deeper into that, to find out like when I say root cause, I'm like, let me see how far back I can go as to see when really the first anger outburst happened, or when it all began, or what triggered it. And sometimes we think we're healed of certain things, trauma or trouble of our past, only to find out that it's just a scab that's over a wound that's much, much, much deeper. a wound that never got healed. It just maybe got scabbed over, but then something happens. Something's said that triggers, and then there's a blow up. There's a blow up. The remnant left in Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar desired to go where? Egypt or Lebanon? Those who were left behind and weren't taken off to Babylon went where? Give me a call, 866-348-7884, 866-34-TRUTH. Is this going to be the first show where I don't give away any 8x10s? Maybe. I don't know. Hope not. But hey, you never know. Give me a call. Tell me about your experience with anger. 866-348-788-TRUTH. 884. I keep saying 88-TRUTH. 888-866-34-TRUTH. Give me a call and let's talk about it. I know it's maybe not the most favorite subject to talk about, but I think it's very relevant for the day when we just look at what's going on in our society, and maybe we can be a peacemaker. Hey, you want to be a peacemaker? Wouldn't you want to be a peacemaker? How about a peacemaker over a troublemaker? Excuse me. How about a peacemaker over a troublemaker? Your choice. You get to choose. Good news is you got a free will. God gave you a free will. Want to be a peacemaker? Want to be a troublemaker? Peacemaker. Seek peace and pursue it. It's another scripture, I believe, and that's not even in Proverbs. Seek peace and pursue it. What did Jesus say? Peace I give to you, my peace I leave with you. I think it is close to the quote. So many amazing scriptures in the Bible that help us overcome an emotion like anger. I could give you a litany list of scriptures that if that's something you struggle with, I could give you some what I call spiritual anecdotes, a resource to overcome that anger. Hey, don't go away. We got one segment to go. True Talk Live, Nikita Koloff, your host. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Mike up in Dayton, Ohio, about how he overcame his anger. Don't go away. Stay right where you're at.
Truth Talk Live.
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Talk Live. We got Mike up in Dayton, Ohio. Mike, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey,
yes,
Mike.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How you want to talk about how you overcame your anger? Talk to me.
Yeah. Well, when I was about 21 years old, I was raised in an angry home, I guess. My dad was always demanding, wanting this done. He got angry when those things didn't happen. So that was kind of installed in my nature. But over the years, God kept dealing with me about anger. Do you love your wife? Show her you love her. Don't be mad at her. You know what I mean? Because she didn't do something. Your kids didn't do the right thing. You love your kids while you're angry at them. You know what I mean? You need to train them and nurture them. You need to love your wife and nurture her. Over studying the Word of God and listening to and praying and fasting and doing those things after 21, I learned to have a better nature, you know what I mean? And I still push that anger down all the time. You know what I mean? It's there. You know what I mean? People want to try to push your buttons, and I walk away from it. You know what I mean? I try to, humble myself and check myself, take a deep breath. Lord, what do you want me to do in this situation? That's the first things that come out of my mouth. Lord, what do you want me to do in this situation? Please help me, Lord, here.
That's good, Mike. Yeah.
That will help your anger right away. You know what I mean? It'll calm it down.
Well,
Can I give a story?
Go ahead.
I give a story about my kids. They threw a bull. We're a big bowling family, and they threw a bowling ball through my wall. One of my kids did, and I got upset. And it's in the middle of winter, and there's 3 feet of snow on the ground, and I got so angry. I just walked outside in my underwear, and I started walking around the house. And it's snowing, and it's a blizzard out there, and it's 3 feet. And I'm in my underwear and socks, and I'm walking around the house, and I'm cooling off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
And my kids are going window to window to window to window. And then they're looking, and my wife Tammy, she's saying he's upset. He's cooling off. He's upset. So, and so I come in and I said, go to your room. And they just went to the room, and I said, God, thank you for helping me handle this. You know what I mean? And at the time, and that was the turning point in my life when that happened. I just turned from being angry all the time to being loving more. You know what I mean?
No, that's good.
Everything.
That's good, Mike. I appreciate you sharing some of that story. Hey, quick question for you before I let you go. Sure. Egypt or Lebanon?
I would say Egypt because that comes to mind. I don't know why my mind says Egypt.
Lot of history in Egypt, right, in the Bible.
Yeah, right.
A lot of history. And ding, ding, ding. You hang tight. Let Nick get your address. I do want to send you an 8x10. You can keep it for yourself or hand it off to somebody up there in Dayton, Ohio, okay?
Yes, sir. I have a person in mind, and I'll witness with it. So awesome.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's awesome. Mike, thank you for sharing some of your story. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, sir.
All right. Hang tight. He'll get your address there. Well, Mike gave a great example there. A great example of really what we've been talking about. When I've been talking about the root cause of anger, I think what immediately came to mind is he was talking about his dad, which environment, right? The environment you grow up in, what he saw modeled, right, by his dad. I think I mentioned to you how many men at our man camps, have mentioned, their dads and what they saw modeled, and some will say, many will say, and truly many will say, I want to grow up and I don't want to be at all like my dad, and how he treated me or how he treated the family, how he treated my mom, right, sort of thing. And then there are others on the other side of the spectrum that had a good situation and a loving dad and modeled something completely different, right? But Mike brings up a great point of how what's modeled in the home or what kind of environment we grow up in can really set the stage. And really, Mike, you're still listening out there, that also, you said it's still there. I get that. But what's great is, I believe, is you identified the root cause, like where it began. And then the ability to go to the Lord and ask for the Lord's help. How many times do we do that last and not first, right? Last and not first. Great life lesson, Mike, up in Dayton, Ohio, right? So, the problem, as we've been discussing today, the problem is anger, right? When you get angry, your intelligence goes out the window. You say and do foolish things that usually end up being self-defeating, right? You get angry, you're in dangerous territory. You're on a path of hurting others and most likely even hurting yourself. Mike just gave that example, right? Like with his boys, right? Throwing the bowling ball. I love the story. He threw the bowling ball through the wall. He walks outside in his skivvies and his in the cold of winter, in the snow and the cold of winter to cool down. Like literally, what a visual of cooling, a way to cool down. Go out and walk around in your socks and without being clothed, and that'll cool you off rather quickly. A life lesson there. Control your temper, stay out of arguments, and you and other people will be glad you did. So the problem is anger. The solution, Mike kind of led into that. The Word, the Bible, right? Our relationship with Jesus, and having that relationship with Jesus, and then being able to go to Jesus as a source, a resource to say, Jesus, you're going to have to help me on this. How many times do we try to do things on our own, whether it's dealing with anger or lots of other things, that we try to do things on our own, right? I'm man enough to do this myself. Well, I'll be the first to raise my hand and say how many times, I can't count how many times, I've said that or tried to do that, only to fail miserably. And then realize or recognize, maybe I should bring Jesus into this equation. And so, I just want to say to all you out there in listening land, maybe you don't have a personal relationship with Jesus yet. You're a Truth Talk Live listener. You're with us, all the time, and we have had many, many stories of people who, if you want to say, stumbled across the radio station, the radio dial, or a podcast, and became a fan of Truth Radio, and ultimately led them to the foot of the cross. So many amazing stories. Grateful for Stu Epperson, his vision, Michael Carbone, Robbie Dillmore, Nick next door, Saint Nick. I didn't realize that little tag right there. Saint Nick, the producer, my producer over there. Hey, if this topic is something that is really hits close to home, I just want to encourage you, consider some of the things we said today. If you struggle with anger issues, it's a real problem for you, that you need to seek out the root cause. Seek out the root cause. I think Mike brought a great illustration there, a life lesson there, modeled in his home by his dad, the environment he grew up in, and through some things that happened in the home, in his own home with his own kids and wife. He is now making that transition to be able to exercise a fruit of the Spirit, which is self-control. Who knows the fruit of the Spirit? Galatians 5:22-23. Anybody out there? I bet you do. Some of you do. Joy, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. Hey, meditate on, study Galatians 5. Bucksman up in Ohio, and some of our some conversations I had earlier today, doing some interviews for the Man Up Show. We talked about Philippians 4:8. Go meditate on Philippians 4:8 sometimes, on things you should meditate on. Read the whole entire chapter. Really, just read your whole entire Bible. Just go ahead and start there if you've never done that. And just a reminder, I open the show, I'll close the show today with a reminder. If you don't have the Truth Talk app on your phone, go to your app store. Do it now, because I know you pulled the car over, and you're going to go to your app store right now and download the Truth Network app, to where you get access to, 24-hour live talk radio, as well as many amazing podcasts. Be sure to check out the Man Up Show on Saturdays with yours truly, Nikita Koloff. Tuesdays, Q&A with Koloff drops on our podcasting platform, where you get a personal phone call from the Russian Nightmare, and you get to ask me some questions. Looking forward to hitting the road here soon. I mentioned St. Clairsville, Ohio, Saturday, August 3rd, Emmanuel Baptist Church, Man Up Steak Dinner. I talked to the pastor. He's got some great steaks that we're going to be cooking for you. Open to the public, men of all ages. Bring your sons. Thank you for tuning in, for dialing in today to Truth Talk Live. Go out and live a God-filled and have a God-blessed day. Until next time, Nikita Koloff.
Truth Talk Live.
Another program powered by the Truth Network.